The books use data, shouldn't you too? And this is easy sports data, like the preschoolers use. EasySportsData.com.
I win here and I win there. Now what?
Sports Betting Weekly.
I want to win!
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
You should also check out SportsBettingLessons.com. You'll learn some old tricks because sometimes how you bet is more important than who you bet. SportsBettingLessons.com.
Let's just do it. Let's meet this thing head on. And you were in it to win it. Talk about an education.
Sports Betting Weekly.
Wow, winning.
Sports Betting Weekly.
Sit back and enjoy the show.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
Welcome to Sports Betting Weekly. I am second half Chaz. As always, you could be watching on sportsbettingweeklylive.com or with our friends at Belly Up Sports Podcast Network. However, it's 8 o'clock East Coast time. You're live. It is Sports Betting Weekly. We have Black Hawk West from 151 Sports Investing. We've got John from GMF Sports. And we're going to talk to John first because John wasn't here last week, was he?
Yeah, no, I took a little week hiatus, so to speak, a little vacation in
You went to Costa Rica, and
Costa Rica.
There's really not a lot of people in the world that you could tell your troubles to if what you got to say starts with, I went to Costa Rica for a week.
Exactly. It's really hard to complain to anybody at that point in the situation. So it was very
need
nice.
to give you a shout out. You literally were off the radar for a few days, and you popped back your first day home. I think you landed in Vegas in the morning, and you went 3-0 for the day.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive. I impressed myself. You know, nothing feels better than coming back and making some money, so I'm glad it all worked out for us.
Now, we are sponsored by ChampionshipFootballs.com. Championship Football is the coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed. Now, they have a sister website, ChampionshipBasketballs.com, where they do the same thing. They turn your favorite team's special season into the coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed. Now, they have sold a lot of Alabama footballs over the years. Who do you think they want to win the national championship in March Madness? But I got to get over to Wes because, Wes, a lot of people know that you do that other thing, the options thing. I always forget the link in the name, and I really should remember. So refresh me.
Yeah, it's Chicago Options Trader. It's through Discord. And, during the week, we're picking stock winners. And then come weekend, I do a Thursday night or a Friday night podcast, and we talk about the sports outlook for the weekend. And, there was
many nights. You're doing that, then coming here.
Yeah, I do. I usually do that at 6:00 on Thursday Central Time. So get about a half hour break in between bathroom break and then.
I have to bring it up is, I listen to it and most of the stuff I already know, but we talk so much that, you know what? Yeah, it just goes in without there. You don't pay attention, but when it's on audio file and you're listening to it, I had to give you a kudos. You said to somebody that, and you mentioned the guy's name, about why you don't think you would take Baylor given 26.5 because they win by 24 and you're mad at yourself. And it was exactly what happened.
Well, I was just explaining how I think.
Right on the number. I'm not talking about, that's kind of how it went down.
I did, but the unfortunate thing is I was just trying to describe how to make money on that game without laying the points, and it was just a lucky guess, but it turned out to be a reality. Instead of laying the 25.5, it's 24. So it was just a lucky thing.
All right, so I got a question on you guys. Are you ready to talk some live action? And we should have done that first, but really those two things excited me. And sometimes I'm like a child. I get excited. I lose my way. I had a real good start, though, because I told you I went 3 for 3. So I saw that Richmond scores X amount of points, and it's more than the total was. And Mississippi State gives up a lot of points, and it was more than the total. They were both more than the total. So I bet both team totals over and the first half over. So 3 for 3 is a great way to start the day. But you guys you gave me some NBA stuff here. You gave me some NHL stuff. What do you think right now with your eyeballs is the thing I should look at first?
Well, we just missed the play that I'm on. I was hoping that the goal wouldn't happen, but the Rangers scored 3 goals in the first period, and I jumped on for a plus 140 payoff for them to go over 5.5. They've been on fire for the last 6 or 7 games since Panarin came back into the lineup. That ship has sailed, but there's 2 that I'm on right now. I'm on Columbus over 1.5 for the game, and I believe they're going to get it in this second period, and it's going to cash out during this show. Columbus has owned Carolina, which is odd because Carolina is clearly one of the best teams in the NHL, but Columbus has owned them. It is a minus 125 payoff. Columbus over 1.5 goals for the game. And then the other one I'm on is the Senators. The Senators already have 1 goal. They've also been a matchup nightmare for Toronto. I'm over 2.5 goals for the Sens for the game, and that's a minus 105 payoff. And that one, I don't know that cashes before we get off the show, but I believe that it'll happen second period or early third.
All right, so golly gee, you were so passionate about that first one, but I couldn't get the hockey thing to open up. So I'm on the Hockey Live page. It was Buffalo?
It was the Rangers over 5.5 for the game at a plus 140 payoff. The score is now 4-0.
No, the second period one.
The second period one is Columbus. Columbus over 1.5 for the game, and I believe they may get that in the second period, and they're playing against Carolina.
All right, so yeah, I'm on the book I'm in right now, and we're gonna talk about those too. The book I'm in right now, I'm not getting a team total. Oh yeah, Columbus, there it is. Okay, you know how they come and they go, and they come and they go. They're there, then they're gone, then they're there, then they're gone. It's just amazing. Live betting, and you talk about that on your podcast. Live betting is really a lot of luck that you're able to click when they have it open, because you know it happens. It goes away. All right, we're in. So let's look at one more thing. Let's look at the college basketball, because Mississippi State is down by 4, and there's just a few minutes left in that game. I'm going to bet Mississippi State plus 3, because 3.5 I'm getting now, because I just think they're going to win the game. They were given like 4, but they cashed the first half. And boy, don't we talk about that all the time, guys? How really that first ticket. And I always say, the first bet of the day. I love winning the first bet. I hate winning the first bet. But you talked about it this week on your show too, Wes, about the fact that first hit changes what you can do.
It does. And you cash the first ticket, and I always preach this. You cash the first ticket. The second place you go is half the profit from that first ticket. And you can't lose at that point from a dollar standpoint. And when you win that one, then you bring yourself back to your full unit. And, it's just basic bankroll management. And, John's nodding. I'm sure he advises something similar. But I always go there and once you get the numbers right, then you can take a little risk.
Yeah, and it really is. It doesn't take a genius. I talk about that at the racetrack too. You're playing with house money as well, and not that you're going to change how you play, but you didn't have it in your pocket earlier, so it just gives you more opportunities. Remember, we talk about it. You have your way, Wes. I call them my commandments. The bottom line is 100% of the plays you don't make because you ran out of money are going to cash. I'm telling you right now, that's what's going to happen. All right, so we're live on a couple plays. We gave our shout out. So yeah, so what do you think? Alabama would be the number one if you wanted to sell championshipfootballs.com to championshipbasketballs.com people. And then I'm thinking for us, because we sold so many, and Gonzaga is perfect season. That's got to be a good one too, right? What do you think? And then we're going down to Houston. We're doing a show at TriStar in Houston in June. So if Houston wins, so we got of the Sweet 16, we got three lookers. I haven't seen if they're in the same bracket though, but we'll see what happens. All right. So before we go any further, we got to talk about what's happening here in about 10 minutes from now. Ziggy's going to join us. Ziggy's been joining us for years, but he's going to join us specifically to talk the Florida Derby. Now, what I did is I reached out to our handicappers, and that's really the beauty of this show. You hang around as long as I have, and knock on wood, the Lord ain't taking me home. I talk to more people every year. I meet more people every year. I know a lot of people. Now, these two that I'm talking to today, they're very, very good. The options thing, Wes, you got to understand. I know you're good. I talked to you for years, but I was just listening to it while I was doing other stuff. I had to stop what I was doing and go confirm what I thought was right. Was that this dude had everything he said came out of his mouth on Thursday was true. It happened. It was really, really bizarre. But I'll say I have no clue where we are. But he's going to talk Florida Derby, and I know, Wes, you're technically going to the Arkansas Derby as of right now.
I am going to the Arkansas Derby, and I just wanted to let you know the Rangers have scored 3 goals in the second period, and they've cashed 3 minutes into the second period over 5.5 for me.
So they scored 6 altogether already.
They have hit 6 goals.
Very well done.
There's that first cash, but yeah, I'm going to the Arkansas Derby. It's the weekend of the 16th, 17th, 18th of April.
Yeah, right, correct, right. We'll talk to that about Ziggy. And so what I did is I reached out to these guys and I basically said, hey, here's the races that are left, and there's like 6 of them. And now I figure, you're going to want to talk about the Arkansas Derby, so that leaves like 5 of them. So Ziggy picked the Florida Derby. But remember, March 17th, there's those 3 races, right? The Wood, the Arkansas, and the Santa Anita. And that's it. Then there's that one race, I think, that some kind of trial if they still have it. And who knows? I mean, the world is different because of COVID. So you know what? We're getting March Madness on Tuesday. I am so excited. I was excited last week, but knowing that, because we would be in the middle of serious basketball if this was a normal Thursday during March Madness, right? No doubt about it. All right, so John from GMS Sports Consultants, you've been back for most of the week. The biggest thing that impacted your sports betting in Costa Rica was blank.
I would probably say the Wi-Fi. And maybe the drinks would be the next 2 things. Wi-Fi in some of these countries, if you travel, is a little spotty, so that's the key issue. And then, it's when you're sitting on a beach and it's, 85 degrees and you got the drinks flowing, that kind of hinders your ability to play some bets as well. So, but
and also what it does, it lowers your need to have the action because you're really just in a very good place. And you know what? Maybe they'll win, maybe they won't, but I'm very comfortable.
yeah, exactly. You're kind of taking in just the scenery in general.
That's why I've never liked poker. I don't play poker. My son gets mad at me because I'll end up by the 3rd or 4th hand. I'm pushing if I got anything that's got any luck of getting any flop because I don't like the game. But the reason I don't like the game is because you can't be a good poker player and be drunk. But you could be a great handicapper, get drunk, and watch the game. The only problem is with those rum drinks, then all of a sudden you start betting horses from, China or Hong Kong or all kinds of stuff happens. You know what? You know how it is. If you're in Vegas, this side where the sports book is on the right is full. The side where the horse players are is not. And so what happens is it's really easy to run up to the window and bet a dog race. It really is. And, you could end up losing all the money back that you won on dog races because then you start doing stupid stuff. Oh, look, they have the same name as my wife and my son. And you start betting names and all kinds of crazy stuff happens. All right, so before we go to break, I got a question for you guys. So, and this is a live action because really the live action, we talk about it all the time, but it really is. Sometimes you're right? Sometimes you're wrong. So there's really only about 4 different ways that can go. So that's what I want to ask you guys. I'm going to start with John. John, how often do you estimate that on a game where you don't pull the trigger, you mentioned one today, you were hoping for an early goal by the other team.
Correct. Yeah.
Team, maybe their odds are too big, so you're waiting, and you don't pull the trigger, and then they score 3 goals quick. And they were worth the minus 260 in hindsight. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I believe that was a Washington game. Washington versus, I think, the Devils. That was a game I think that I was eyeing early. And I know there was some early goals. I wasn't exactly sure which way that went.
How often when you, in the course of your day, when that happens, do you get to the point and then is it almost always you're done? You can't do live action now. It's too late,
Yeah, it definitely changes your perspective, but at that point, you almost kind of eye the next opportunity because it's always a number games. You want to see where you can get your money in at the best possible odds at that specific moment. So while that opportunity passed you, especially with live betting, there's opportunities all across the board where maybe now you look at something different. Maybe as Wes was talking, you talk about team totals. So you kind of change your mentality of thinking. And once again, this all comes into play with live betting because you can always put yourself into action where maybe you got a better line than what it was at the beginning of the game.
Well, and like you said, really, all it becomes is a new race with a different starting line.
That's it. Yep.
It's still 40 yards. You're still playing to the end of the game, How about you, Wes? What percentage do you think of those times do you don't pull the trigger and you should have pulled the trigger where you say, you know what, you can't really, you got to wait. You got to wait a little bit,
Well, in most cases, you're better off not even touching it. We've talked about it 100 times, like I give you Gonzaga, for example. I think they were a 19-point favorite on their last game. If you waited 1 minute and 30 seconds, that's it. 1 minute and 30 seconds, you were able to take Gonzaga minus 13. And you were in a better situation. So you wait it out. And if it doesn't work, then, you just find another one. That's part of why I don't bet on my teams. I don't bet on the teams I have an emotional tie into because it's about the business. If I realize I'm wrong, then I try and find a way to fix that. I was dead wrong about Ohio, the University of Ohio in their last game. I mean, they were getting blown out, but I covered myself by taking the plus 16.5. I thought they were going to win outright, but I was wrong. And I ended up finding the right number to cover myself and walk away with a little bit of change. And I think that's what you got to do. And if you can't find it in that game, we got a Saturday coming up where there's 4 basketball games. And then if you go to the NHL or the NBA, there's opportunities everywhere. So I would advise anybody out there, don't get hung up on the one game that you were wrong about. Go be right somewhere. There's too many others.
Well, speaking of being right somewhere, that was a very good segue. If you were with our cash tickets page, so you just go to Sports Betting Weekly, and you look for cash tickets. There's a header. There's like 7 or 8 things there. You go to cash tickets. You'd be talking to us, and today you would have got the Richmond thing that I said, and it's exactly what happened. One team was averaging more than the point spread. One team was scoring more than one team was allowing more. They just made those. They just scored their 67 point. So that's a nice winner for me because I was really confident in that one. Now, don't get me wrong. They may end up with 67. There's 38 seconds left, but it don't matter because I'm on the next game now. Sometimes you lose, you're on the next game. Sometimes when you win, you're on the next game. All right, so we're going to start talking some horses. Now, we know we got Ziggy's going to talk to us about the Florida Derby. Somewhere on my phone, I got the whole list. I'm not going to worry about it. You're going to the Arkansas Derby, Wes. John, we talked about it at the beginning of this season, the prep race season. Have you started at all even looking at the names of the horses that are going to be in the Derby?
No, I have completely dropped the ball on that aspect of sports betting realm with the ponies this year. Like I said, I haven't been following it. I haven't even picked up anywhere. So this is an area that I'm, completely lacking in. So I will be relying on the info and from Blackhawk West here. So
right, but what happens is as you get closer and the races become more money, then they're on TV and stuff. I mean, you can't even. I got to use my account sometimes to find these horse races.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's opportunities whereas a field gets kind of minimized, you kind of get your selections. So if you're looking to bet, you can obviously do some research and stuff from there. But as of right now, I have generally no idea what's going to happen. But as we get closer, I'll do the same thing. I'll pick out maybe a name that sneaks out or maybe a little trainer jockey combo that I like and go from there,
Yeah, and that always works. How about you, Wes? You had mentioned earlier you like to get the horse out of Santa Anita, but there's a couple other horses that run since that are good horses.
Florida Derby. The numbers. I believe it was the 9 and the 10. Bafford's got a horse in the race that is an interesting one. I believe that's the 9, and then I think we're looking at a 6-1 morning line on. Gaffleone, the jockey I disrespected. I think he's got a good ride there in that Florida Derby. I'll never forget that jock's name, but
he's the 9 and Bafford is the 10.
Yeah, and I think Baffert going out to Florida for this race is an interesting one because if he's traveling, he plans to win this race.
Well, he just did it. Remember, he sent that horse to Oaklawn.
Yeah, so
3-2. I mean, think about what 3-2 is when it comes to the plus number. Okay, 3-2 is plus 150. Correct? Right? Isn't that 3-2? And so what that is what is that a 3-point favorite or a 3-point dog on the money line, basically somewhere around there.
Yep, that's it.
That's a nice play to have. No doubt about it. All right, so all right, we're going to head to break. When we come back, we're going to hear from Ziggy. He's going to talk some Florida Derby. You're listening to Sports Betting Weekly on the Belly Up Sports Podcast Network and the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. I really tell people, just from our show alone, not all the other great shows they have, just from our show alone, this app is worth its weight in Bitcoin.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Be fearless at MMA Long Island and Setuha Karate. Located at 28 Cold Court in Ronkonkoma, MMA Long Island is the martial arts school for you if you want to learn combat-proven techniques, build confidence, discipline, and self-esteem while learning real martial arts to fight back against bullies, predators, and peer pressure. MMA Long Island offers group and private lessons for all ages and levels in traditional Goju-Ryu Karate, MMA, and self-defense. MMA Long Island is one of Long Island's most affordable martial arts schools. There are no promotion, belt, or membership fees, and family discounts are available. All classes are taught by 7th degree black belt Sensei John Benedict with over 30 years teaching experience. So whether you want to get in the ring or protect yourself and your family, MMA Long Island can help you reach your goals. Visit MMALongIsland.com. That's MMALongIsland.com or call or text 516-381-9660. That's 516-381-9660.
Do current market conditions have you nervous? Our experienced team of financial professionals at Heritage Harbor Financial Associates understands that no two investors are alike. We all have different goals, needs, and appetites for risk. That's why the one-size-fits-all approach does not work, especially when planning for retirement. At Heritage Harbor Financial Associates, we analyze your unique investment style so that you can work toward your individual retirement goals on your terms. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates can help you take steps to reach your retirement goals by providing a wide array of financial products to fit your needs, even for the risk adverse. Give us a call at 631-331-6599 to learn more or to set up an appointment with one of our financial professionals. You can also find us on the web at hhfa.org or on Facebook at facebook.com/hhfa.org. Our number again is 631-331-6599. That's 631-331-6599. Investments in stock, bonds, and mutual funds and variable annuities are not FDIC insured and are subject to fluctuation in value and market risk, including loss of principal. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates offers securities through AXA Advisors LLC, New York, New York. Member FINRA, SIPC. Annuity and insurance products offered through AXA Network LLC.
Edward Lehman has been a trusted insurance advisor for over 16 years with insurance solutions for auto, home, commercial, life, and retirement. He's located at 54 Sunnyside Boulevard, Suite H in Plainview. That's just 1,000 feet south of 495. Local agent, local advice. The time to think about insurance is before you need it. So do yourself a favor and before you pay your next insurance bill, give Ed and his team a call, 516-935-3900, or visit him online at www.allstate.com/EL. Edward H. Lehman Insurance is your trusted insurance advisor.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Sports Betting Weekly.
You keep lying when you ought to be truthing. And you keep losing when you ought to not bet.
Sit back and enjoy the show.
Winner, chicken dinner.
So how good was that 3 minutes to us? We provided some great exposure for some really good businesses. We got Ziggy to join us, and Mississippi State hit a 3 at the buzzer to win the game on the court. We were getting 3.5, so that live play just cashed for the first segment, and Columbus scored 2. It's like Christmas. All right, so let's get over to Ziggy. Ziggy, thank you for joining us as always. We appreciate it. Let's talk about the Florida Derby. Honestly, at this point, do you know who you like already? No matter what.
I know who I like. You know, I am not a favorite guy. So the 7-horse McGahee's horse, Greatest Honor, I'm not even throwing him in my exacta box.
We're not talking though, Zig, about the Florida Derby. I'm talking about the Kentucky Derby. Have you already?
Oh, the Kentucky Derby? Not yet. Not yet. Florida Derby.
Do you think any of the ones you see could win it?
Yeah, there's a couple of that are out there. But again, I like to see after the prep races and to go back. I watch the replays of the prep races, you know, see if a horse had an easy time of winning a race, you know, or somebody was in trouble. And, you know, and then I'm looking for value. I'm not looking to bet a horse that's going to pay $7 in the Derby, $8, especially when you got up to 20 horses in the race, you know. Now, if the horse was a special horse like Saddle Slew,
no, exactly. But the beauty of the last few years is the fact that there's been like a handful. So we've been getting 9-2 favorites, you know.
Yeah.
And so that you know, for me, who's an exotic player, that's really more.
Well, yeah, that's right, exotics. Yeah.
All right.
I mean, what I'm saying is, like, I'm not going to play like an 8-5 shot, and you know, or even 2-1. That's not me. I'm looking for double digits, you know, on horses.
And we talked about it earlier. The trainer, the jockey, the horse, you know, the poster.
Yeah.
Everything's important. But let's talk about trainers with you. Right now, who's the best trainer in the business with the horses he's got?
Well, listen, doesn't necessarily mean they're the best. Joe Torre, the best manager ever? No.
No, I'm talking about right now. The horses.
No, but I'm saying right now, so Mark, it's the same thing, Mark. Bob Baffert, he has money behind him. You know, they go buy horses. So, yeah, you can say, oh, Bob Baffert's the best, you know? Well, maybe if he was on even playing around with other trainers, you know, everybody was on the same, you know, had the same type of money coming in to go buy horses and whatnot. Maybe he wouldn't be the best, you know? So, you know, you could say, yeah, Baffert is, you know, and you know, the other thing, Mark,
for your wallet, for your pocketbook over the last 3 months when you bet, because you bet a lot, you're a horse player. Who's right now the jockey? If you were going to have another grandkid, this trainer's won you so much money, you would recommend they name him after him. Who would it be?
Well, I'm not saying Baffert because I don't bet Baffert's horses because you ain't getting any. To me, it's, you know, you get a $6 horse. The same thing with some of these other guys, Pletcher. You know, again, they got people behind them that are looking to, you know, to win the big races.
Well, you could say that's the same thing about jockeys because, you know, we talk about it all the time. There's certain jockeys that just own that colony. They own it. It's theirs.
You know, and I can tell you, I'll tell you something. There's some guys I know that like what's his name, Pratt, jockey. You know, every time I bet the guy, his horse ain't around. You know. So it's also who you do good with, you know.
Sometimes somebody's got to be dead to you. That jockey's dead to me. We had a situation where Webb threw out a horse on the day that Gaffleone won 4, and it was that jockey that he threw out. He threw out on Thursday. On Saturday, he won 4 in a row.
So, you know, I mean, right now, I mean, the best, like if you talk about jockeys, again, they get mounts, you know, where they're stationed at. You know, we got the Ortiz, Iraq. He's probably one of the top ones now. When what's his name gets a horse that has a shot, he's a good jockey, Rosario. You know, he relocated out to California. You know, Giroux, you know, they're all, you know, there's good jockeys there. Like Mike Smith. Mike Smith went out to California, became a star.
Well,
he wasn't a superstar in New York. He was a good jockey, but he went out and guess what? He hooked up with the right trainer, with the right horses, and he's a star.
New York, those are all different colonies, and that's what they call it. A group of jockeys, it's a jockey colony, and you know, if you're trying to get mounts and they're already set, it's hard to pick up mounts. It really is.
You look at, you know, you go back. Well, over probably 20 years ago, you know, down south, Pat Day. Pat Day took his tack to New York. He didn't last long in New York. He didn't do too good in New York, you know.
Yeah.
Now over the over the years of betting the horses, over 40 years of betting them, today the best jockey I still say is Cordero. If I had a horse in the Kentucky Derby, if he was around, that's who I would want riding my horse. You know?
He's a legend, no doubt. All right, let's talk about the Florida Derby now. On a Florida Derby day, how many of the racetracks will you bet that are in the racing form? There's 8 racetracks in the racing form?
There's Christ. There's a million tracks, Mark. You could bet anything. Not like when we first started out. That's the best part. We played the New York track that was running, and at nighttime you didn't have a track to bet except either Roosevelt or Yonkers, the Trotter.
Yeah, but when I grab my form,
but today I bet, Mark, I could look at Tampa Bay for a couple of races. I could look at Gulfstream for a couple of races. You got Aqueduct in the wintertime. I can tell you this, my experience over the last 30 years with Aqueduct is that you probably could find maybe 2 races, to look at during the card, and that's it probably. You got Fairgrounds. Santa Anita's gotten to the point where that's like, almost like Aqueduct, because you look at some of the cards and there's 5 horses in a race. 5 horses. I
talked to Squeak this week, and we were laughing about that. First of all, I don't believe they should be running horses in the wintertime. They got to go to Florida. I'm betting off of my phone. I really don't care where the horse is located when I'm betting it. And that poor horse is running against the snow's coming sideways. It's 30 below, and the horses are running on the backstretch. And sometimes the caller can't call the race because he can't see him because of the snow. I'm thinking they should not run that race. All right, so let's talk Florida Derby. You mentioned the favorite, of course. Yeah, I mean he's a good horse. None of these horses are a slam dunk Derby horse yet. They may be after Saturday, but they're not yet. So
he's talk to us. The 7 greatest honor. He's got the leg up on all of them. So if I was going to make a superfecta box, then I'd throw him in. But me, I'm only playing a couple of dollars exacta box, so I'm not looking, I'm not looking to bet $12 in an exacta box and win $28. That's not me. I'm just not doing that. So when I look at the race, when I was looking at this race here, the horses that I do like and that I'm going to use is going to be the rail horse, Mott's horse. He's got his jockey riding for him, Alvarado. Nova Rags. I'm using him.
Is that his favorite jock?
That's one of his. Alvarado rides for him. If you look at the race before, Alvarado's on the rail horse again.
Guys,
and that's going to be a double. I'll make
their best jockey.
Yeah, I could tell you, like I said, race 13. The rail horse is another mod horse with Alvarado, and that's my double. I'm going to use doubles. 1 with the 1 in the Florida Derby. I'm also in the Florida Derby. I'm going to jump over a horse first, and then I'm going to go to the next horse. Is the 9 horse Collaborate. This horse here, first of all, the trainer. Don't know enough about him. He's from Barbados, and I can tell you this. Barbados, they train their horse. Some of those trainers train their horses on the beach, to get them strengthen their muscles.
I used to do that when I went to Marietta, man.
So you look at this guy, Safi Joseph, right? You look at him, and he's hitting at. Eyes are getting older, Mark. But you look at his win percentage for last year, 21%. This year, I don't know if they must be. He's got 229 starts already, and he's at 47 wins, 21%. But this horse here was well meant. You look at him, his first race in the slop at 6 furlongs, and he was even money, 7-5. Okay, he would have paid 480. He took a step slow in the slop, and he came out of the 10 hole, and he got beat by a length and a quarter. Okay. His next race, they stretch him out. That's a 1-turn mile is an elongated sprint, really, is what it is. It's not like it was a 2-turn mile, but he crushed again, even money. 11 horses in the race. He won by 12. He just devastated him. and he got a 90 speed buyer. So he went from a 72 in the slop. He pops up to a 90 when they stretch him out. He's one of the hottest sires in the game today. Into Mischief. Okay. So I'm definitely using him. Okay. Now the third horse I'm going to.
You know what? At this point, I almost think we should have played the Abbott and Costello mutter fodder horse racing. If I had known you were going to say sire, I would have had that clip ready.
Yeah.
That's some funny stuff. I don't care.
But he is. He just happens to be the hottest sire going. And then the third horse I'm going to throw in, and here's the price horse, is the 8 horse, Soup and Sandwich. Now you look at him, Mark. Now Mark Case, good. I catch a lot of winners with this guy, with this trainer. Okay, and he's all over the place. He has horses everywhere. He has horses up in Woodbine when they run. They're down in. He runs them in New York. He runs them in Florida. He runs in Florida, whether it's Tampa Bay or Gulfstream, he's there.
What's his first name?
Mark Case.
Like him already.
Yep. But he's a good trainer. I do good with him. But now here's the thing that interests me about this horse. I love his breeding. Again, by Into Mischief. On the backside, he's by Tappet. Okay. Now, here's where I start liking him even more. You look, he's a homebred. He's by Live Oak Studies. He's owned by Live Oak Plantation. Okay. Live Oak Plantation, you know, the ladies, the hair to the Campbell soup. And the thing that always baffles me about the owners is with all the horses they have and everything that's at their disposal, how this place was never in the top 10 in the country, like with earnings. They should be in the top 10, what they had. They had, what's his name was a trainer, a guy from New York, Pat Kelly. And Pat Kelly used to be good. Okay, you go back and you look at Pat Kelly. He was a decent trainer. He had some nice horses. He did, and he won big races. Something happened, and this lady finally smelled the coffee and took the horses away. I used to tell Pete all the time because he had Kelly training his horse. And I used to tell him, Pete, if I was that lady, I go to Pat Kelly and say, Pat, how many horses are in your barn? My horses, 30, 40. You take the top 20 you want and give me the other 20, and I'll bring them to another trainer. I'm going to see who does better.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
And guess what? Eventually,
that could have been a good reality show. I would do that every week.
Mark, eventually she did do that. She took horses, gave them to Billy Mott and another guy that you see on the card. If you ever see him training, his last name is Trombetta or something like that. Trumbolette or something like that. I can't remember his last name. But she split up her horses between those two trainers. And now she still has a lot of her horses with Case, and she has some with the other guy, This horse is interesting, Mark. The only thing with this horse is if you look at his first race at Gulfstream, right? Another one. He came out and he devastated him. Then he goes down to Tampa. The only thing with the Tampa race was there's only 3 horses in the race. Okay? But the thing was the jockey said afterwards. And if you go back and you read up on the Florida Derby, see what the Case said, what the jockey told him. He said, once I got to the top of the stretch and I let him go, he just took off. Boom. And that's why this horse intrigues me, and I'm going to use him. Because like I said, you look at his breeding. He's got nice breeding. I like the breeding. I don't have any doubt that he's going to be able to handle a 1 1/8. And
so the question I have for you is, do they name like all these horses have the name Soup, some kind of reference to Campbell in their name?
No, she does have a decent amount of horses. You'll see like Super, Souper, Super this or Super that, Super in something else, but and I'll tell you, like I said, with this trainer, I've done good with this trainer.
Well, that's good to know. All right. So what we got is we got a one. You're going a 1-1 double. You're going to throw the rail in both the 13th.
I'm going to throw the 1 in the 13th race, right? In with 1, 8, 9. And depending on what it pays with the 7, because the 1 is a price in the 13th race. He's 10-1. And I looked at that was
your money back. Well, you might get all your money back if the 7. It's better than not.
But I'll tell you what, I look at that 13th race, and I'm saying, why is this horse 10-1?
Now, that's the one. I'll have to look at that when I pick up my farm in the morning. All right, As always, we'll text over the weekend. You know, me, you, and Joe from Connecticut, we kind of keep squeaking.
That's it.
Come on, too, I think, one of these shows.
That's it.
All right, we'll talk, man.
All right, be good, brothers.
Yeah.
Good luck to you. May the horse be with you.
You're listening to the Sports Betting Weekly. I am Second Half Chaz. You're either on the Belly Up Sports Podcast Network. You might be watching at sportsbettingweeklylive.com. Or if it's Thursday about 8:40, you've already cashed one live bet. You already got a goal, so you already need a half goal to cash another live bet. I told you would cash tickets. You're cashing tickets.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
At championshipfootballs.com, they offer a 100% money-back guarantee on every single souvenir football that they sell. The coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed. There's nothing worse than trying to find the right gift for somebody that already has everything. Whether that special present is for a New England Patriots fan or an Ohio State Buckeyes backer. Maybe Grams is a lifelong New York Giants supporter. Or your brother-in-law is a 12th man living in Seattle. Know a member of the Michigan State Alumni Association? Is there a better Father's Day gift for someone who's a Baltimore Ravens fan? Send them the coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed. Now, if your favorite pro team is the Buffalo Bills or those Minnesota Vikings, well, they're sorry about that. Also, if you're a New Mexico State Aggies or Tulane Green Wave alumnus, not much they can do. After all, the name isn't nice effort, you had a pretty good season, footballs.com. The name is championshipfootballs.com. The coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed.
Hey, this is an important message. I'm Second Half Chaz from Sports Betting Weekly. Sports betting is supposed to be a hobby. It's supposed to be fun. If you're hurting yourself by gambling with money you don't have, check out our website for the Gamblers Anonymous phone number.
When Vince Young scored on 4th and 5 in the 2006 Rose Bowl, two things happened. The Texas Longhorns won the NCAA title, and ChampionshipFootballs.com was born. From Texas to Alabama to Ohio State, and now for Super Bowl winners too. ChampionshipFootballs.com is the place for the coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed. Now, 10 years later, ChampionshipFootballs.com has the autographs too. See if any of these names remind you of a special time in your football life. Michael Bennett, Lou Holtz, Joe Montana, Devin Smith, Jameis Winston, Rocky Blyer, Rocket Ishmael, Ara Parsegian, Mike Stonebreaker, Chris Zorich, Luther Bradley, Todd Light, Tony Rice, Lawrence Taylor, Dave Casper, Marcus Mariota, Rudy Rudiger, David Tyree. Enter the promo code RADIO and you'll instantly save $50 on any of the ChampionshipFootballs.com autographed footballs. ChampionshipFootballs.com. The coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Sports Betting Weekly.
Sit back and enjoy the show.
Chicken dinner.
Welcome back to Sports Betting Weekly, where we are following our live tickets. We've hit already on the Mississippi State plus 3.5. They actually put up a 3 with a tick. 1 second left on the clock. It went in. They could have settled for a tie in overtime. And the Richmond over, that was it. They never scored again. But, of course, once you go over 66.5, we don't really care what you do. And it worked out. We hit two bets. And then we got Columbus. They scored. Now, I think Columbus is just going into the third period. They're going to break, right? Is that right, Wes?
And they're going to have a little bit of power play to start the period, too.
So that bet that we made for minus 119 is now at minus 160. So that's one way. I mean, if the number's getting better for you, then yeah, I should have waited. But if the number's getting worse for you, then you got to like your bet and you sit tight. You could ask a good better to get at minus 160 if you wanted to. I have enough tickets for the day. I've already got 2 sheets of tickets. I'm good right now. Thank you very much. My big bet of the day is Memphis. So I didn't give you guys that yet by text, but I told you I've been doing better with the college these minor brackets little tournaments than I have been with the big boys. But that's because, one school is just much better, and they win. So that tends to be how it works out. But Pepperdine was real nice in the CBI, CIB. I don't know what it was. It was really hard actually to find it. It was hard to find the score. But it was one of those smaller tournaments, but they ended up coming back and dominating. They won by 30, I think. So we cashed 3 days. They went back to back to back, and we cashed, I think, 7. I think we went 7-2 on them. So, most people 7-2 on a weekend. But Wes, like you said, when you bet a little differently and use that sports betting lessons philosophy of it's not always what you bet or it's who you bet, it's how you bet them. And so that's 7-2 is pretty good for one team.
Yep, it sure is. And it's the way you manage it all that gets you paid on Money Monday.
All right, so let's talk about your other. So you already hit, Ron, right at the beginning. You had the over in the Rangers game. They're already up to 8. They've scored 8 goals between them. Holy cow!
Yeah, we hit that one. I laid that before we got on, and it was 3-0.
I'm telling you, Wes. One of the things that I love about that over total on the days that I'd like it, I bet you're going to add up every single goal. And it's fun to do it. You count and you see we're at 18. You count, we're at 27. It's really a fun bet to make. It really is. I didn't think I'd have so much fun. What I really like? When all my other games are done and I'm good, I had a good day, I got a positive number, I'm sitting around waiting to count. I just count. Every about 20 minutes, I open my phone up and I just count. It's just so much fun. It really is.
Well, you're not tied into whatever game is on TV in your market. You just look at the scores and, count some goals. And
you're out of it early. Sometimes you're out of it early. Which way you go, it doesn't matter.
Rangers and the Flyers with 8 goals on the board. I mean, you're okay with a couple games not scoring much at this point. Right.
But you also know, by the time the 7 o'clock games go around, the Vegas games, the 2 LA teams, right? The Anaheim Ducks and the Los Angeles Kings. By the time those games run around, you got a shot. You're gonna, otherwise, like you said, don't sit around in hockey. I've watched enough hockey now with US to know you don't sit around waiting for 12 goals in the nightcap. That ain't gonna happen too often. All right, so let's talk to John. John, you still, even though you were gone, you were still getting your bets in, you said, right? So where are you going into this weekend? What NBA teams are cranking up? Because remember, certain time in the next few weeks, we're going to be talking about who's in the playoffs and who isn't in the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. This is when you really start getting into the main bulk of the schedule for the NBA teams. And one of the teams I want to start really looking at now, especially because LeBron got injured, I would switch my focus over to the Los Angeles Clippers, because I feel like the Clippers, after what happened last year, now that LeBron is gone, I think that's kind of their, let's say, division and conference to kind of come up. We kind of see what they did. Obviously, San Antonio yesterday, they're playing them again today, so we'll keep an eye on that. But I feel like this is a team that you got to keep an eye on coming out of the West. And also Denver, they made a late trade today, and they added a key piece. Joker is in the mix with the MVP, nominees. So you got to keep an eye into that. I really think, again, that we're going to have the West Coast kind of win the championship again. No disrespect to the East Coast. No disrespect to Giannis, who's a superb player. But I think the West Coast, as far as their teams and their benching and their coaches, is a little bit more well-equipped to win the championship going forward.
What about, you mentioned that earlier today, and again, when you go to the sportsbettingweekly.com page and you go to the headers, you can watch the old shows, you can see some of the other projects we're working on, but you also see the hashtag cash tickets page, and that's where you go to be able to talk with us. But during the day today, you mentioned the trade deadline. Did you see anything that really jumped at you?
There was a few pieces that move. Victor Oladipo moved spots. I'm not really sure if this is anything that that kind of moved. I think Lou Williams moved from the Clippers, but the Clippers got Rondo in return. So I would almost kind of call that a fair trade. Lou Williams is a great scorer, and they're both going to be coming off the bench. So I'm not really sure that really changes the aspect of it. I was really looking for the Lakers probably to make a move. I don't know if they pulled the trigger. There was a lot of talks of them getting Lowry from Toronto. I don't know if that happened. And then there was also talks of the Knicks making some moves, with some possible point guard scenarios. I don't think any of the moves today changed anything significantly except adding another piece to the puzzle, so to speak. So it didn't change. It didn't really change any of my aspects of teams moving up, so to speak.
All right, that totally makes sense. And you know what, you can't, in the NBA, as much money as they make, it's not really easy to do a blockbuster trade this time of year. It's gotta. You look what Harden did. I mean, if it's gonna happen, it's probably gonna happen earlier because you've got your guys. I mean, this is you're making your run. You're looking for pieces. You're not looking for a star, unless the guy's unhappy. And that's what Harden was. So it'll be interesting to see. But I definitely know that you get more consistency in the NBA in the playoffs. You've seen the wide swings from one quarter to another this year. Your team's down by 12 at the end of one. They're up by 12 at halftime. How the hell did that happen? It's just amazing what we have seen. And that, John, has been consistent now for most of the season.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, the swings in NBA is brutal. Just like you said, one quarter to the next, even in the span of 4 or 5 minutes. I forget. I think it was I forgot what it was, the Sixers-Warriors game where we seen a 20-point swing, in a matter of one quarter that totally changed the other way. So, as far as a betting standpoint, this is brutal, but this is what you got to, watch out for when you're betting the NBA, because you never know. But like you said, as we get closer towards the playoffs, the defenses start tightening up, these superstar players really start showing up. And this is where you kind of see the cream of the crop kind of rise a little bit more, from the bottom of the barrel, so to speak.
Yeah, and the thing about it, and we'll talk with Wes about that, when you're doing live action and those swings, it's hard because the numbers constantly change. I mean, they go up and down the court in 12 seconds. Well, at least with hockey, when you're doing live action, it's a little easier to get in a click. You still don't sometimes, but it's a little easier than basketball.
Yeah, hockey's a little bit easier because you have those kind of opportunities. Like you said, the scoring isn't that drastic where, NBA, you could, have somebody hit a couple of threes and then they'll, you miss your opportunity, over under change and everything like that. So hockey, you get a little bit of a leeway.
All right, before we talk about March Madness, because we haven't really talked about March Madness at all, because again, we got a lot to talk about, but we're gonna finish up with that. I'll give it a solid minute. So start with Wes. Wes, I'm not looking bracket talk. I'm looking about Saturday morning. What games are you looking at?
So Saturday morning, I've done well playing Oral Roberts, and they're getting 11 points in this game. I think that's rather interesting because these higher seeded teams, they've been coming out with defense, and they've been taking some of these top tier teams completely off of their game to where buckets aren't falling. So, I'm looking at that Oral Roberts and 11 points, and I don't know that they win the game, although they could. I mean, they threes are falling for them, and their defense have been finding a way to get them extra opportunities. So this Oregon State Loyola game, I'm not touching it. I could see it going either way. 7 points, I just don't believe in it. But that Oral Roberts game and 11 points, I mean, that is a really interesting one, and I'm probably going to be taking points there.
You talked about Houston. They made you a lot of money this year. Do you think Syracuse is going to keep shooting like they do? And if so, how does that name not go over 140?
Well, you've said it before. Houston, about every 4 games, they just stink. And I think we've seen the stink out of them. And now they get kind of 4 days to push the reset button. And they're going against a team that, no disrespect to Syracuse, but Houston is the better team, and Houston is the number 2 defense in the country, and they are some shooters. So I will be taking Houston there, and I'm not going to wait on it. I don't think that game we're going to see much movement in the line in your favor. If you're a Houston player, it's at 6.5 right now. Houston has burned me a couple times on these first half overs, so I'm probably just going to take.
Yes, there's no doubt about that. But they more than kindly paid you back a couple times too. Holy cow. They came back to cover for the game that one time, giving 20. It was amazing. All right, John, let's talk to you. Have you broken down the college basketball this weekend already?
Oh yeah. I already looked ahead just because obviously this is tournament time. You got to look at it. And I know we're not kind of getting on the brackets, but my Final Four is still intact. So I'm going to be keeping an eye onto that. Yeah.
Let's talk about Saturday. Then I'll go back. We'll talk about Sunday with both of you, and then we'll call it a day. So what about Saturday? You got Oregon State. He mentioned Loyola. Yeah. That's 12-8. Isn't that wild?
Yeah, that's wild. You seem kind of one side of the bracket with these lopsided numbers and everything like that, which is crazy. But if you're going to pick upsets, this was a year to do it in the COVID year. So, on that side of the dog train, you obviously got it. But I'm going to be sticking to my usual suspects. Houston, I like Houston as we were talking about them. Syracuse, same thing. No disrespect to Syracuse, but I think Houston is gonna pick apart that little 3-2 or 2-3 zone defense that they do. Houston's not shy to shoot the ball. They have scorers. So,
and Wes mentioned that. It's so funny because if you could bang it from 3, there ain't no zone. The zone's not an issue.
Yeah, exactly. The zone's not an issue. I was actually watching that last game they played against West Virginia. West Virginia looked very timid versus that zone defense. And I don't think Houston's going to have that same problem. And then I'm going to be, on the Arkansas side. And I forget what other game I was leaning on too that day. But, those would be the games that I stick with.
Go to sportsbettingweekly.com, the cash tickets tab. You'll know exactly what he's doing because he'll tell you. All right, Sunday, 4 more games, Wes. I see some names of people that have won me some money.
Sunday, I'm looking at USC Oregon. I think that USC has got 3 players that are going to play in the NBA. And I mean, the Mobley brothers, USC, this 2-point spread is just flat out disrespectful. The last 2 games, nobody's even come within 20 of them. And I realize that it's a conference matchup, but this is just a new gear that USC has found these last couple games. I mean, they just dismantled a well-coached Kansas team, and it wasn't even close. And so I like USC there. But then I'm also looking at this Creighton-Gonzaga game, and Gonzaga really can do whatever they want. I mean, they truly can. It's 13 points. That's one where I'm probably going to let the game get started. And if Creighton scores, if they go up 2-0 in the first 4 seconds of the game, we'll get a little bit of a discount there. So
look how much that discount cost you in the last game, because it was a nail biter at the line to win by the hook. But if you had 2 or 3 points earlier because you hopped on the line, it's just such a less stressful game that way. It really is.
The other play I'm going to look at in this Creighton Gonzaga game is once we get into the second half, I'm looking to pump the brakes and put some money on the under because Gonzaga is going to have a big lead, and they may try and slow it down a little bit. And this under, the over under is 158 right now. It might get egregious. I mean, it might get to 175.
And right, I'm telling you, that's one of the highest numbers you've seen, right? You don't see too many 160s in this tournament yet.
No, but if they score 65, 70 points at the end of the first half, we're going to find that over under in the high 170s, 180. And just simple math, that's way above what the line is right now. You pump the brakes.
You've cashed on 3 or 4 of those in the last 2 weeks. Easy. All right, so let's go to John. John, Sunday, 4 games. Gonzaga, Michigan, Alabama, USC are the teams that are favored.
Yeah, I'm going to do the same as Wes, and I'm going to ride USC like he was saying. I just think they're playing phenomenal basketball right now. They have all the momentum. The shooters are shooting. They're playing hot. It's hard not to like them. A little West Coast bias here because I've been following them most of the year, and they've been a pretty good team. So I'm going to be, riding on them. And then also, listen, I know Michigan is number 1. And they're a great team. But if you followed the show a couple of weeks ago, you know that I had Florida State as kind of the dark horse to kind of win the tournament. So I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to pull Florida State out of the hat. I'm sticking with my guns. Let's go Noles, and let's ride it out.
So that's about what we talked about, right?
Yeah.
We talked about how much a horse race. A horse is 3-2. Don't dismiss it too quickly because it's plus 150, and that Florida State is only plus 120. So in that respect, it kind of puts it in reference. All right. So John, before we let you go, tell people how to find you.
GMF Sports Consultants on Instagram, GMF Sports Betting on Facebook. You can also type in GMF Sports Consultants on the web browser, pull up my website, hit me up in any way of those three methods, get signed up. Also cash in those tickets on the Sports Betting Weekly, hashtag cash tickets, sign up. Let's get some winners this weekend.
Wes.
You can find me on 151 Sports on either Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, or my members page. It's Chicago Options Trader through the Discord app.
You know, I'll tell you right now, if you listened to that show last week, I wouldn't have to talk anymore. you'd be texting us. I'm telling you that right now. All right, so yeah, it's thanks again to PD at the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, the app. It really is. With our show alone, it's worth its weight in Bitcoin. Today you made money, and so you got a Columbus update before we go? They still at the break?
Third period still hasn't started. Oh, third period, we're about a minute and a half in. Columbus is on another power play, so it should
cash. There, we're going to cash. It would be perfect for the night. Plus, I had the basketball where the guy, I don't even remember the team. That's okay. I'm going to tell you right now, that's the downside of hanging around with us at the sportsbettingweekly.com cash tickets, because we move on to the next game so quick. If somebody asks you how you won, you might not even remember who it was. I am Second Half Chaz. You've been listening to sportsbettingweekly.com, also at sportsbettingweeklylive.com, also on the Belly Up Sports Podcast Network. Always be cashing.
Thank you, gentlemen. Talk to you guys.